everyone, I hope you're doing really well. It's been a while, but I am back to share a whole bunch of things that I've been working on in the last couple of months. I started off this video sharing some clips from the Kawartha Yarn and Fibre Festival that took place in Fenelon Falls, Ontario just this past weekend. I had a booth there. It was a wonderful show. I had such a great time seeing some old friends, meeting some new friends, and it was just a really great time, but it has kept me super busy for the last month or two. I've been in the studio nonstop, sewing large project bags, small project bags, just getting all the things ready for this show and trying to make sure that I would have the shop fully stocked for the summer months. And I've already started with one shop update. I've got lots of leather and a few bags in there right now. And I'm actually having another shop update this Friday night, which I will share a little bit more about later. I've got new kits with the Cozy Knitter. I've got some new project bags. I've got large project bags, which I haven't had in the shop for a really long time. So a lot of exciting things are coming Friday night. In the meantime, I wanted to share some of the things that I have been making or dreaming about making in the last couple of months because I've been busy. And I was thinking while I was just buried in sewing and pressing and all of those things in the studio, I've been thinking a lot about my one little word for this year that I chose back in January. I kind of forgot about it for a couple of months, but recently I've been thinking about it again because my one little word is make. And I've been really focused on what that word means, what I wanted it to mean, and how I've been using it to the best of my ability. I have been focusing on that word, make, to make more time for things that I love, make more time for my creative hobbies, make more time for my family, make more time for my health, make more memories, make good routines and habits. I've just been thinking about that word nonstop, and I think it's been serving me very well because even though I've been buried in bags in the studio, I've been making more time to knit. I've actually got a finished object to share today. I've been starting some new knitting projects. I've been beading bag charms and playing around with beading a little bit and jewelry making. I've been doing patchwork. I made a new Kindle case for my e-reader. I started quilting a quilt that I had pieced together a year or two ago. I've just been making time for all of the things that bring me joy, and I just feel like it's the best way to go forward with the summer months because I have plans to take a little bag with me out to the backyard or down to the lake with a few projects, with some journals, with a book, and really make time for all of the things that I love. And I'm just one of those people who gets so easily distracted by whatever is in front of them that I tend to forget. And I end up looking back on my days or my weeks wondering where the time went, why I didn't get more of my creative projects done. And I think this little word, make, is really helping me to stay on top of what's important. So I have lots of things that I want to share with you today, mostly knitting, some new bags, some new things that I've been making, and just some new plans for the summer. So let's get started. The Fibre Festival was last Saturday. It's now Thursday, and I've been spending most of my time this week just getting organized after the show. There were bins and bags to unpack, just things to put away, bags to be counted. I updated the shop. I had a little update and I've done all of the shipping for that already. And I just wanted to get my house cleaned up and organized because in the last week or two, it was getting a little bit out of control. And this room, the dining room, was kind of a dumping ground. It's where everything was brought into from the car, and a lot of things were just piling up in here. And I really wanted to create a calm and peaceful space for this summer where I could come and sit down with my morning coffee or afternoon tea and do some journaling, some planning, knitting, whatever it is that I feel like. And I'm really happy with having it cleared out. I've got a diffuser in the corner over there, just diffusing some grapefruit essential oil. And I also picked up a new puzzle recently. I did one after the holidays and I really loved coming in here whenever I had a few extra moments or while dinner was in the oven and I had a little bit of time. And I found another one that looked so beautiful by the same brand. It's by Gallison. And I'm sure you will agree that this is possibly the most perfect image ever. It's stitch by stitch. It looks like a fabric or craft shop. There are quilts, there's yarn, thread. Oh my gosh, a sewing machine. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to set myself up in here this week and start this puzzle. And whoever wants to join in the house when they walk by, they can sit down and help add a few pieces here and there. I've also been setting up my carry-all bags. I absolutely love this bag to tote around the house with me. I've got two of them set up now. This one is my knitting one that I can take into the backyard with me or from room to room, depending on where I want to sit. And I thought I would share what I've put in it so far. I've got a book that my friend Kate just sent me, and I thought it would be the perfect book to read outside. It's The Secret Garden. It's a beautiful copy of it. I've got, let's see, I don't even remember what I put in here. Okay, this is in one of my Iris bunny bags. This is the current sock that I've been working on, and I'm really loving it. I kind of slowed down because I need to put in the gusset next, but I really love how this is turning out. I think it's so pretty. It's a dandelion and dogwood yarn with a little bit of sparkle in it. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's so pretty. It was in one of the advent calendars that they did a couple of years ago. I think it's the At the Dogwood Cafe one. So that's my current sock whip. I have, what's in here? Oh, I found this old whip. I did a huge cleanup of all of my knitting projects about a month ago. I shared it on Patreon. It was a lot of fun, actually. I was digging out sock whips and just old projects that no longer catch my eye or serve me. I frogged a whole bunch of stuff. I'm actually compiling a lot of things to put in a D-stash. I've been just trying to let go of things that I know I probably won't be working on or need, and it feels really good. But I found this Sophie scarf that I started a while ago and I kind of forgot about it. And I think it's beautiful. So I've been working on this in the evenings when I want a project that I don't really have to think about. It's a lot of fun. It is using Chelsea yarns in the colorway Red Bank. I believe that's what it's called. I don't have the ball band in here, but it's the Sophie scarf by Petite Knits. It's a really fun and quick project. and I'm enjoying it. So that is just an easy one to grab. I've got a little notions pouch in here, and I set up a new project. I haven't even started it yet, but it's something else I might start this summer. It's Le Bandana by Amy Gilles, or Gil, I'm not too sure, from La Bien-Aimée. I actually saw this sample knit up at the Knitting Loft about a month ago. I ran into the Knitting Loft in Toronto and I did a little bit of shopping for another project, but I saw this sample in these exact colors and I could not resist. So I've put this in a rose pink bunny bag. I just added these to the shop and I had to keep one for myself. And I really wanted to make this little neckerchief kind of bandana. It's going to be in a micro stripe with these two colors, and I think that they are beautiful. They are both from La Bien-Aimée. They are the Merino Super Sock, the 50-gram skeins. This color is Ishigo. I don't know which is which. Let's see. And this one is Fluoro Morganite. So that is the bright pink, and this Ishigo is this paler pink with some speckles in it. So I'm really looking forward to all of these projects, and I think that they're going to be super easy ones to just pick up for a few minutes if I am in the backyard, if I'm going somewhere, if I want to go for a little bit of a break down by the lake. And I've got them all organized in this one bag, so I'll know where they are. I've actually also set up a basket in the kitchen. I really, really love these baskets. This one I got from Rhinebeck, I think the first time I visited, and I've got a couple of projects in here as well. I found this one when I was doing a big cleanup, and in here is my 2nd Avenue wrap. This is actually the second one that I've done. The first one I knit is one of my favorite hand knits that I've made. And this was a kit that I also picked up at the Knitting Loft a few years ago, and I started it and forgot about it. So I am in that phase of pulling out the projects that I still really love. I've let go of the ones that I don't, and I've actually been taking this one out to the backyard with me. I've got all of the yarns in here. They're all Plucky Knitter, and I think they're gorgeous. Such a pretty kit. There's some greens happening in here, this taupey color. There. So I think this is going to be a really fun project to also pull out if I'm down here on the main floor and I want to just sit in the backyard for a little bit or sit on the couch and watch something, because it's pretty simple. I know after this pink section, this pale pink section, is the eyelet section, which is not my favorite and does take a little bit of my attention, but I still think this is one that I want to keep out so that I can easily grab it. I think I have a couple of other things in here. I don't even remember. Oh, I pulled out a sock that I'd like to continue working on. And I completely forgot about, I think it's called the number 10 shawl. I forgot about this. So I created this basket to remind me of the projects that I don't want to completely forget about. There are too many right now to be working on all of them, but it's helping remind me what I have. And that way I'm trying to focus on 1 or 2, maybe 3 at one time, and then I know what's coming next. So I'm really excited about my knitting right now. I have a lot of sweaters that I am kind of putting in my queue and thinking about for the coming months. I've got one new one started. I've got one almost finished, but I need to make an adjustment, and I'll share a little bit more about those later. I've got them all upstairs, but I'm gonna clean up my mess. I'm gonna take you upstairs and show you what else I've been making in the last month or two. I've got a couple things here for dinner. I'm actually defrosting some puff pastry because I want to make one of my favorite recipes from this book. It's Chef Michael Smith's Kitchen. He's such a great cookbook author. He used to have a TV show, and I really love his recipes. I've made this one before. Let's see if I can find it. It is really, really good. I have some smoked salmon in the fridge, and it is a smoked salmon quiche with Gruyere and dill. And I think I have everything to make this except for fresh dill, but I think I could use some dried dill. It is such a delicious quiche, and I think it's going to be perfect for tonight. I've been gathering some beautiful yarns in this big basket ever since I saw Connie G on YouTube share her version of a scrappy croissant cardigan by Rose. And I was immediately inspired to do some stash diving. So I've got quite a few yarns in here that were already in my stash. I've got some melanated boho, some Chelsea Luxe yarns, some sparkles and paillettes, lots of beautiful chunky yarns and mohairs to go along with them. And when I went into the knitting loft last month, I found a couple of more to add. So I've got this beautiful Cama Rose with some mohair, and this one as well. I don't know what the colors are, but here's the peachy one. Here's this beautiful turquoise one. I've got some lavender in here. What is this one? This is Rowan, my favorite color. So I've got a lot of options here, and I thought it would be a fun summer project, but I'm starting to wonder if this might get pushed to the end of summer and turn into more of a fall project, because I have a lot of sweater knitting on my mind. Let's talk a little bit about sweater knitting, because I think in my last video I shared a lot of sweater knitting dreams. I have a lot in my dream queue, and I haven't made a ton of progress because sweater knitting has kind of been on the back burner, but it's definitely still been on my mind. So let's start with a little update on the sweater I was working on, which is the Mega Stripe sweater. It's a pattern by Camilla Adamson, who is the dyer behind Cami Jo Knit. So the pattern is by Camilla and the yarn is by Cami Jo Knits. And I did make a little bit of progress on this project, which I'm still loving, by the way. So I have completed the body, and I have completed one sleeve. And I took a break because the mohair was a little bit warm for the season. Even just having this on my lap, I was getting quite toasty. And then I paused because I tried it on and I really love the look of it. It's quite oversized and beautiful, but I think I made this sleeve a little bit too short for the proportions of the rest of the sweater. And so I took a little break to think about it before I picked up the stitches for the second sleeve. And after a few weeks thinking about it, I think I really want to go back and make maybe one more mustard stripe before I go into the cream for the sleeve. I just think I would be happier with it if I did that. I think I made it a little bit shorter than the pattern called for because I usually love a shorter sleeve. I love a bracelet length sleeve, but this one is just a little bit too short. And so instead of just pushing through and making the sleeves not quite right, and then maybe not wearing it, I think I'd like to fix it. So that is where I'm at with this beautiful sweater. And I think if I do that, I will get a lot more wear out of it. The yarn is the Mega Mohair from Cami Jo Knit, and it's really fun to work on. It knits up super fast. It's on a very large needle, but that one is on pause. It's in this beautiful basket from Big Blue MoMA. But in the meantime, I've cast on another sweater. I've been kind of jumping around between which one to start because there are so many I would love to make. I actually want to make the Anchor Tee by Petite Knits, and I just discovered the Turtle Dove cardigan. I knew about the Turtle Dove sweater from Melissa Clulo of Sandra Yarns. I did not know about the cardigan version, or if I did, I had forgotten about it. I saw it the other day and I really want to make that sweater at some point. So I got distracted by another one that I've been wanting to make for years. I had the yarn in my stash. It is a beautiful yarn that I have been saving for this project. I've got it in one of my large project bags. I hope I have a ball band in here, and I don't. I am making another ranunculus sweater in this beautiful Viola Yarns yarn that I've had in my stash for many, many years. She no longer dyes yarn, so you cannot get it, but I'm obsessed with this color. I love the soft variations in the green. There's a little bit of like a brown in there, but I think it's just the perfect color with a rustic look. I think it's a BFL base, and I have just started the twisted rib neckband. I started this just before the final push to get through to the Kawartha Yarn and Fibre Festival, so I had to put it on pause, but I am hoping to sit down and get working on this yoke. I have knit a ranunculus in the past, and it is a pattern by, I think it's Midori Knits. Let me check. Knit Cafe Midori. It is a very popular pattern. I've been seeing it pop up everywhere lately. And I knit one version of it way back when the pattern first came out, and it was only offered, I think, in one size. It has since been re-released in a whole variety of sizes, and I just remember it being a fun and quick knit. There is some lace work, but it is very simple. You see the progress quite quickly, and I love the fit of this. And the first one I made, I did not put extra sleeves on. It just kind of ended like a little cap sleeve. But this one, I really want to make 3/4 length sleeves. And I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be beautiful. You can see how it's knitting up there. So this is my current sweater project. I have been waiting to get back to it for the last week or so, and this week has just been so busy getting my whole life in order, or as much as I could possibly. But now it is time to devote some time and work on this sweater. I do have one finished object to share that I finished a few weeks ago, and it was such a dream to knit this. I've come to realize that projects that allow you to play with color are some of my absolute favorites. So I know I shared this while I was working on it, This is my Advent shrug from the Shrug Season Pattern Collection by Jackie Rose. And I picked out 24 colors from various Advent calendars that I've been collecting. I think these ones in particular are mostly a homespun house, Chelsea yarns. I can't really remember if there were others in this one. I know that I have quite a few from the last 2 or 3 years. And this just felt like such a therapeutic knit that brought me so much joy. So I'll try it on. I still have a lot of ends to weave in, and I did kind of weave them in as I went, but I didn't want to cut anything just yet because I'd like to make sure that they're all in there securely. So I really, really love this pattern. I made a shrug in the fall, and I didn't really have a plan for how big my stripes would be. And I just loved playing with the colors and changing whenever I felt like it. And this is exactly what I did, but this time I had a pattern to follow for the fading in and out of colors, but I really just picked out my colors and for the most part stuck with them until the end. Towards the end, some of the colors I had chosen just didn't feel right, and a couple of months have passed, so I think maybe my taste just changed, but I really, really love this project. I will definitely continue to make shrugs like this, especially ones where I'm using yarn from my stash and playing with color. So what I did with this, it's supposed to be 24 minis. I think I might have done 23 in the end. But I basically chose groups of like 7 or 8 colors at once and then set them up kind of seasonally. So I think, I can't quite remember, but I used some beautiful images from a home decor book that sort of set the framework for me, and I picked my favorite colors from my stash that kind of reflected those images. So I remember, let's take this off. I remember these first 4 were one grouping, and then this was the next grouping, and then the next. And here I changed things up just a little bit. I had a very beautiful, like bright, almost acid green color that I started to knit in after this magenta. And that was the only color choice that I did not like when I knit it. And so I ended up pulling it back. I had to go and find a tutorial from Very Pink Knits to put in an afterthought lifeline, and it worked perfectly. I've used lifelines like that before, but because this was a rib, I wanted to make sure I got every stitch. And so I would pick up the knit stitches on the right side, and then you go to the back and you pick up the purl stitches on the back side, which look like the knit stitches. So I'm not sure if I explained that right, but I watched a Very Pink Knits tutorial and it completely saved me. I ripped out the green and I just proceeded with the other colors that I had. And I think I might have changed 1 or 2 at the end just to finish it off the way that I wanted to, because I really wanted to have this purple up at the top. Purple is one of my favorite colors, and I just love it. It is super cozy. I don't particularly love mohair near my face, and so this was the perfect knit. This is knit held or holding 2 strands of fingering the entire time. So it does knit quite quickly, and you don't really have to think much. You're just fading in and out of colors. It is a wonderful collection of patterns because within the Shrug Season pattern, There are multiple versions. I can't remember the names of them all, but the Advent Shrug is just one of many. And it's a really great kind of recipe to do whatever you want and play with your yarns, play with your colors. You don't even have to stick to the number of rows that are outlined. You can really do whatever you want. But I love it. It just feels like a hand knit filled with happiness, and it kept me company for a couple of months when I was busy and just trying to stay organized and didn't have a lot of brain power to be focused on a more complicated pattern. So I'm really happy with this. I'm going to have to weave in some of the ends, I think, and just block it, but I'm really looking forward to wearing this on cool nights or in the fall. I absolutely love it. One of the other things that I made in the last month or so was this case for my e-reader. I have always loved doing like very unstructured patchwork, and that is exactly what I did. I cut out a piece of batting for this pattern, and I ended up just doing like a super thrown together patchwork of some of my favorite fabrics from my collection, which is something I've been really focusing in all areas of crafting. I've been digging into my stash for yarns. I've been digging into my fabric stashes. I have a few boxes underneath my big cutting table that have remnants from many, many bags I've made over the years and from quilts. And it's really fun to use what you have and rediscover it. I've even been doing that with my planners and journals and all of the supplies to go along with them. I've been rotating pens and digging out old stamps and different supplies, and it is so refreshing, especially when we are tempted all the time for new things. It's really nice to just dig into your stash. And that's what I did with this project. I had a lot of fun making it. I got a new attachment for my sewing machine to do bias binding, so it was an experiment in using that. It's twisting a little bit, so I think I'm going to play around with this. I might make it a little bit smaller. It's just a touch too big for most e-readers, I think. And I'd like to play around with the attachment that I got for the binding. So these may or may not end up in the shop at some point. I really enjoyed making them, and I am trying to find ways to just factor in more time for projects like this that I can add to the shop. I used to love making the little patchwork pouches that I use for notions, and this is kind of like that. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I've just been having so much fun making patchwork projects again, and even beading. I think I shared a couple of clips. I was working on a little bag charm for a friend this morning, and this is the one that I made for myself. I've just been loving playing around with making things and doing it for fun, not necessarily for the shop, because I think when your job incorporates your creativity, sometimes you just want to make something that's not meant to sell. There's just something about it that I've missed, and that's what I've been focusing on for the last little while, and it has done a world of good for me. This is also the other carry-all that I've had set up in my dining room for a while. I brought it up here to kind of go through what was inside and just refresh it a little bit. This one is meant for my journal and planner supplies, so that if I want to do any journaling or planning or meal planning or note-taking or anything really, I can easily pull this out and work on it in the dining room. I absolutely love this. This is kind of what I call my couch bag. And I have quite a few of them in the shop right now because I stocked up for the Fibre Festival. I think I have the classic brown. I've got rose pink, which I haven't had in a really long time. I've got one of my favorites, which is jade, and black plum. And I'll share some of the other items I have in the shop right now as well when I do a little shop update later. But I absolutely love this bag to just carry everywhere. I've got my Delphonics pouch in it right now, filled with a little portable stationery supply in there. I've got one of my little signature pouches that has just a couple of basics if I want to make a list or update my planner. Everything is in there. I rotated what journal I wanted to use just for fun. I've got my regular Hobonichi for planning and some journaling, which stays up here. But I pulled out this traveler's notebook that my friend Christina gave me a couple of summers ago. And I still have the note in here that says she signed it for me. And she sent this to me to just have fun with some summer art journaling. And so I thought, how perfect would this be? I love it. I've even got this little dyed silk scarf thing that she cut and put on a clip for me. And it's really nice to just have a journal for fun. On the front, I have one of the little fish charms from Hello Stella Fibers. I love it. And a little traveler's notebook brass charm. So in here, I'm just keeping some notebooks for making daily lists, household stuff, meal ideas. I do have one in here that I've been using for knitting inspiration. So some of my older projects and ideas. This is one where I put in a picture of one of the shrugs from Jackie. I had some sweater ideas in here. Oh my gosh, and you can see from years ago, I have the ranunculus with that Viola yarns right here. So I'm making things happen with my stash. Here are some of the other sweaters I previously printed photos of. There's the Mega Stripe sweater, some cardigans, the porcelain sweater, a lot of knitting projects that I was dreaming about. And then the last book in here is just going to be for any kind of art journaling. So this is a great one to take with me on the go, to bring outside and just play around with. So this lives in this bag, as well as this book that I've had for a couple of years, and I started it as like a home journal. I just wanted to play around with home projects and ideas, and I didn't really continue with it. But I love this notebook so much. I picked this one up at Chapters Indigo. It is from Heirloom. It's absolutely stunning. And it's a big one. And they are all blank pages. And I thought this would be a great one to jot down any of the creative projects that I'm working on or dreaming about, just to put little doodles and sketches in if I have new ideas. And so I'm keeping this one in here as well. So if anything pops into my mind, I can jot it down in there. I also have a little container of beautiful pencil crayons in here, just in case. And I usually keep in pretty much every bag that I have floating around the house some kind of hand cream and some kind of lip balm. So that is another carry-all bag that I keep on the main floor. This one stays downstairs because I have a lot of other journaling supplies that stay in this room. And it's going to be another one of my summer bags. So now I'm going to gather a couple of things that I picked up at the Kawartha Yarn and Fiber Festival. I didn't get a lot of time to shop, but I did get some good stuff. And then I'm going to share a little bit about some of the new things in the shop that will be available on Friday night. And I think that's it. I've been gathering so many things for the last couple of weeks to share with you. I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but let me just gather a couple of my purchases from this past weekend's festival. I didn't get a lot of time to shop at the Kawartha Yarn and Fiber Festival, but the few things that I did get are making me so happy. You probably saw a couple of them in the footage at the beginning of this video, but right off the bat, I asked Glenn to head over to the Full Moon Fibers booth and search for this yarn because I had seen it on their Instagram account and I had to have it. It's called Flower Power, and I think it is so beautiful. So I'm super happy with this. It's the Solar Sock Base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and I just fell in love with the colorway. So that was the first purchase of the day. I did go by the Yarn Therapist's booth and went specifically looking for some of the yarns that her daughter dyed. It was her birthday that day and she was selling some yarns and saving up for her education fund. And I thought, how brilliant was that? And they were absolutely stunning. So I picked up these 3 minis. I think most of them were sold out by the time I got around to their booth, but I think they are beautiful. I think they're going to make really pretty accents in other projects. So there's the little tag. They're from the Yarn Therapist, who has beautiful yarns. And I just wanted to have some. So I got 3. Then right across from me, and I mean directly across from my booth, was the big blue MoMA booth. And if you guys have watched my videos in the past, you know how much I love baskets, especially hers. I mean, I have so many of them all around the house. These are both ones that I've previously purchased, but I just find them so handy to carry things around, even if it's just other things in the house. And I stared at her booth all day long and I watched people try on these beautiful jackets. And much, much later in the day, I went to flip through a few on the rack and I immediately saw this one. I tried it on, I looked in the mirror, and I just knew. I didn't really plan on buying a new jacket, but once I had it on, it just was one of those moments where it felt like it was meant for me. And there were a few other people in the booth who agreed, and I could not leave this there. It is absolutely gorgeous. I believe she gets all of this fabric from Ghana, and then she has the jackets made by someone in Toronto. And I mean, look at the detail on this fabric. It's absolutely stunning. It feels like a one-of-a-kind piece, and it's reversible. So it's kind of like 2-in-1. So the other side is a little bit more purple toned with this gorgeous deep purple tape. And I love it. I love it so much. Look at the detail on the sleeves, on the cuffs. I put in some footage of me wearing it. James took that video for me. I'm in love with this piece. I am so happy that it came home with me. So that was really exciting. Very unexpected, but I'm very happy with that. And even later, like almost at the end of the day, I ended up spotting this basket, which I don't think I saw all day long. And again, I just felt like it had to come home with me. So I've been using this to carry things around all week. I had to reshape it a little bit when I got home. I just soaked it in some water and then shaped it and dried it out in the sun, and it is gorgeous. I'm so happy with it. So this was also from Big Blue MoMA. And inside I have a whole bunch of bags that I wanted to share with you, which will be in the shop tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So if you are not interested in any shop news or new products, then I'm going to end this video for you here. And I'm just going to carry on sharing some of the new project bags that I have in the shop, some of the leather pieces, the kits, and then I think I'm done. I think I've covered everything. So I did add a brand new style to my shop this week. They're already in the shop, so you don't have to wait for the update on this. I wanted a little bit of a larger zip pouch than I already have. The one that I have now is, here I have one, is this little guy with a wristlet strap that you can detach. You can use this as a keychain, or you can hook this on a D-ring of your purse or tote bag. But this one is just a little baby one. It is perfect to put in notions or a couple of purse essentials like a lip gloss, hair clip, a couple of credit cards, whatever you need. Your keys could clip on here, but it doesn't fit a phone. And I have been thinking about a larger one for a little while now. And so I now have a medium zip pouch with the same wristlet strap, and I love it. This one fits just that little bit more, and it fits my phone. And I think it would fit a much larger phone as well. So you can see the difference in size. It's quite a bit bigger. And I just keep this in my large everything tote. I had this with me at the show. And instead of carrying my big tote bag around with me when I wanted to visit a few other booths, I just grabbed this pouch that had my wallet and my phone in it. And it's just super easy to carry around. This is a brand new color that I had just a few pieces in. It is a dark brown. I've never done this color before, and I'm in love with it. I'm not really sure why I've never done a dark brown before, but I think I'm going to do it again. So I don't know what's left in the shop of this right now because I just had a couple of pieces, and I think most of them have sold already, but I'm definitely looking at bringing this back, and I have some of the larger bags still left in this color. So this is my new medium zip pouch. I have them in a few other colors, the jade, the rose pink, and one of my favorites, the black plum. So those are in the shop right now, and so are some of these other leather pieces. So I've got a whole bunch of items in rose pink, which I mentioned. I haven't had that color in a long time. And one of the things to note about the leather that I offer is there are now new minimums with colors. So the availability for certain colors can be very touch and go as it is, but right now there are bigger minimums, and so it's a little bit harder for me to have all of the colors at once. Just being a small business owner, it is a pretty big investment to purchase all this leather and have a wide variety of colors and styles. And so if there is a color that pops up, just know that it probably won't be back for a while, other than the regular brown that I usually offer. That's probably the most popular color that I have, but the rose pink I haven't had in a while, and I probably won't again. So if it's a color that you love, now's the time to grab one. So I have the small totes. This is the rose pink. I've got a few colors in the small tote bags, which would also make a very good kind of couch bag or just everyday purse. I have the rose in the carry-all, which is the one I've been obsessed with lately. This is my couch bag, my backyard bag, my everything kind of bag. So in rose pink, I think I have quite a few in brown, which is really popular. And I have one left in the new dark brown, which is so beautiful. I already sold one of them, so I just have one left. It is a really stunning color, and it would make a gorgeous handbag. Then I have quite a few everything large totes in a variety of colors, including one of my favorites, which is jade. And I think I just have one left in the dark brown of this as well. So I really love this color. I'm hoping I can get more again. But that is pretty much the leather update that has already been put in the shop. So everything is available right now, as well as there are a couple of other bags I added at the beginning of the week, but they are fabrics that I've already had. Anything that is brand new that I made particularly for this fiber festival will be in the shop Friday night, and I wanted to share what some of them are. So I've been working on this batch or this series of fabrics that are sewing related because I think they are adorable. So I'll have some sewing machines in this pink fabric and some sewing notions on this dark navy, which I love. And I have a brand new kit that I put together with Christina from The Cozy Knitter. We've done kits in the past. We love doing kits together. I actually have just a few left of the vintage library kits because I brought a few of those to the show. So that has the vintage library bag and the vintage library sock set from The Cozy Knitter. This is the 80/20 sock. It's a fingering weight, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it comes with this gorgeous mini. But we created a new one for spring, and I love doing this with Christina. It is so much fun. So this is the bag that we've called Garden Party. It has a yellow zipper and yellow lining with a pink tassel. And I found this fabric, shared it with Christina, and she came up with this gorgeous stripe to coordinate with it. So this is a 5-color self-striping yarn with a beautiful mini in the same 80/20 sock base, and it's called Garden Party. So I have just a few kits right now and just a couple of the bags on their own. And I'm already working on cutting and sewing more bags so that we can have a bigger update in each of our shops. So for right now, this is just a small batch of them that will be in my shop in kits and a couple of the bags on their own. And then more will be coming soon, as fast as Christina can dye and as fast as I can sew. And one of the things that I was really excited to finally work on this past month or two were large project bags, because I have not had these in the shop for a very long time, and I love them. They fit so much stuff. This is one of my older ones, and I've got 1, 2, 4 cakes of yarn in here with the project and the pattern. It just fits a lot. It can fit a large shawl or a pretty decent sized sweater. And these are the ones that I will have in the shop on Friday. I went digging in my fabric collection and I found some oldies but goodies. This is the Alice in Wonderland Rifle Paper Company fabric, and they have gold tassels. I have a couple that there are very, very few. I just was able to make 2 or 3 of each of these, but this is another fabric that I remember having in the shop and loving. And it just has a navy blue tassel and zipper. I have this really pretty floral with a mint tassel. I have this beautiful Jen Hewitt fabric that I have been saving for a very long time. I love it. It has a gray zipper and a pink tassel. And I just have a couple of these, but I have loved making denim project bags in my shop for years. I have a couple of the small ones in the classic denims that I used to offer, the chambray dot and the railroad stripe. But I don't have very much of the denim that I used to use for the large project bags. I did find some, and I found a crafty way to make use of the width that I had left. And so I had to do a little patchwork, but I think it turned out really beautifully. This was one of my favorite fabrics that I offered before. And I did a little patchwork version. It's the same on the back. And I love it. So those are all of the new project bags that will be in the shop tomorrow night or Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that covers everything that I wanted to share with you. I am so excited to be back in this space, and I'm really hoping now that the show is behind me and I have so much summer making ahead of me that I will be in this space a little bit more often again. I am considering taking a little staycation very soon, and I'm thinking of calling it a makecation because I'm going to be home. I want to do a few things around Toronto and just nearby, a little day trip here or there, but I want to do a lot of making and just immerse myself in some of these projects. And I'll probably try to pick up my camera more and share a lot more with you guys when I do that. In the meantime, if you are looking for me elsewhere, I am all over the place. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I do have a Patreon if you are interested in being a part of our community over there. It is such a wonderful space where I share weekly videos that are just everyday type of creative living and home life by the lakeside. And so I will be back soon. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I had a little bit of extra time to focus on work. And thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.